Thanks very much, Liam. There you heard the strains of the national anthem, Aurán Navíon, heralding the start of our second live game of club championship football here from Cusack Park in Ennis. Coming up, it's Westport of Mayo and Connacht against Kenmare of Kerry and Munster in the AIB All-Ireland Intermediate Club Football semi-final. Kenmare playing in their traditional colours of red and black, Westport in the sky blue and navy blue. They will play in the first half. Westport, that is, from left to right as you look at it. Our referee is Martin McNally from County Monaghan, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Paul Grady of Westport and Mickey Ned O'Sullivan of Kenmare and Kerry on co-commentary for the second of our live games from Ennis this afternoon. Mickey Ned, Kenmare raging hot favourites, but going into the game without their captain and their Kerry county man Stephen O'Brien. What's the latest we're hearing on Stephen?
Well, I think he has a slight hamstring strain, and as a precaution I don't think they're starting him, but I'm sure if they're under pressure during the game we'll see him being brought in.
So there you hear it, Stephen O'Brien, the Kerry forward, a real class act. He doesn't start, he is among the Kenmare subs though, and his place taken up front by Alan O'Leary, with Westport also making one late change to their starting team. Ronan Geraghty dropping out, and in comes Oisin McLaughlin, a county minor with Mayo last year. That's the first shot at goal from Kenmare. That gives us a chance to give you a quick check on the team, starting with Kenmare in goal. It's Kieran Fitzgibbon, the full back line, Stephen O'Shea, Tommy O'Sullivan and Dara Crowley. Shane O'Sullivan, Dara O'Shea and Mark Crowley make up the half back line. John Mark Foley is alongside David Hallisey in the middle of the field. Patrick O'Shea, Sean O'Leary and Kevin O'Sullivan are in the half forward line, with Sean O'Shea, Paul O'Connor and Alan O'Leary up front. That was Fionn McDonough there getting a boot to ball for Westport, just trying to set them on the front foot. Their goalkeeper today is Patrick O'Malley. It's a full back line of Niall McManaman, Kevin Kane and Keelan Dever. Brian O'Malley, Brian McDermott the captain and James Welsh are in the half back line. Lee Keegan, the footballer of the year, is named at number 8 alongside Shane Scott. In the half forward line it's Fionn McDonough, Phil Keegan and Liam Staunton, and in the full forward line Colm Moran, Paul Lambert and Oisin McLaughlin, all three of whom were Mayo minors only last summer. So we've played a couple of minutes. Kenmare on the attack, trying to build something down along that right hand side, but that delivery in towards Paul O'Connor broken up back there by James Welsh and cleared away by Lee Keegan. First touch for the four-time All-Star, who's being tagged at this stage, it looks, by Kenmare's Kevin O'Sullivan. Keegan involved in the thick of things already, gets the ball, moves it on smartly, got tangled up in John Mark Foley as well for good measure. Westport continue to build through the lines slowly and surely. Out to Paul Lambert, wearing 14, but he's drifted out to the half forward line to get involved, clipping it down the line towards Oisin McLaughlin. Very talented young footballer, beaten though in the first foot race in that full forward line, and because Westport didn't retreat quickly enough, ball is moved forward and the free taken by Stephen O'Shea. Kenmare, who lost the 2013 All-Ireland Junior Club final, looking to make amends this year and go all the way in the Intermediate Championship. Man on the ball is Sean O'Shea, one of a number of sets of brothers in the Kenmare starting team. Sean O'Shea looking to link up inside, although knocked away by a kneecap. Surface very, very greasy. It's been raining steadily now for the last hour or more. That's a loose pass by Brian McDermott. He was just on a different wavelength to Phil Keegan. Another hit going in there after the ball had left. Man who bit the dust was Sean O'Leary. Kenmare on the attack. This is Kevin O'Sullivan. Spots the run of David Hallisey. O'Malley leaves his goal for Westport and gets the boot to it. Danger still not cleared, and it's popped up and over the bar, and Kenmare have the lead. That score kicked by the right half forward Patrick O'Shea. It has taken us 3.5 minutes to get the opening score of the game. It comes from the Kerry champions, and it's Patrick O'Shea who has the honour of kicking them out in front. Mickey Ned, it's been a particularly frantic first 3 or 4 minutes.
And of course the ground conditions are slippery and it's making ball handling more difficult. David Hallisey was unfortunate there, but keeper Malley came out, cleared his lines, but Patrick O'Shea got his point.
Paul Grady, everybody wondering how Westport are going to position Lee Keegan. What have you made of what you've seen of his involvement so far?
I think Lee is as per normal, sitting in a centre back, and we'll see how the game develops and whether we need to use him elsewhere. But I think for the moment, centre back is where he's at.
Any other tactical switches or changes you've noticed that Damien Loftus has come up with?
I'm not sure. I think Brian O'Malley is operator on the middle of the field, which meant Brian McDermott has gone into the back line. And that's the only other switch that I know of. Oisin McLaughlin would be in corner forward, of course.
Well, a stoppage here, and one of the Kenmare players is going to need attention.
Kenmare seem to be playing Shawnee Shea and Paul O'Connor up front, and creating the space in front. There'll be a lot of lateral movement and leaving the ball into space quickly.
And of course, Mickey, that's where the danger and the scores, more importantly, has come from during this championship campaign. That full forward line are the big threat.
Yes, unfortunately Stephen O'Brien is missing, and who would have been a major penetrating force there, but we'll see how it develops.
Still very much in the early stages, still in the settling down phase. And how Westport will miss Lewis Cawley today, that is the big question. This is Cawley's corner, filled today by Colm Moran. Sprints away, shoots for the score, and Colm Moran sees his first shot at goal drift away to the right and wide. But that's the big question, Paul Grady, isn't it? How will Westport cope without their leading scorer and their target man, I suppose, in many ways up front, Lewis Cawley?
Yeah, he's a huge loss to us, no doubt about that. I mean, he really got us through the Connacht Championship, and plus his free taking ability is also a big loss when it comes down to a pressure situation. But hopefully now Oisin, with his pace in there, will ask questions of them as well.
Don't forget, wherever you are watching the game this afternoon, get in touch via Facebook or our Twitter page at Local Streaming. Hashtag the toughest. Tell us where you are, maybe what you're doing, and whether you're shouting for either Kenmare or Westport. The prize on offer for the winners, a place in the AIB All-Ireland Intermediate Club Final on Sunday the 19th of February. This is David Hallisey trying to make some hard yards down the centre. Links up neatly with Kevin O'Sullivan, showed a clean pair of heels to the defenders. Got the shot in, it dropped short, but the referee, Martin McNally, is going to bring it back for an earlier foul on the big number 9. Lee Keegan is arguing his case, but the decision is made. It's going to be a free from dead straight in front of the goal, and this is a very good opportunity for Kenmare to double their advantage. Mickey, a word on the conditions. It's been drizzling and raining for an hour or more. It's going to be difficult.
Yes, it's very difficult.
Oh, the shot, the quick free, and it very nearly ended up in the back of the Westport net. Well, that caught everybody napping, not least those of us up here in the commentary box, and also perhaps the Westport goalkeeper Patrick O'Malley. It was an absolute thunderbolt of a free that was fired in towards the Westport goal. We were all expecting it to be tapped over the bar. He went for the goal. It cracked down off the underside of the crossbar, back into play, and Kenmare leave with a point in any event. A point from Sean O'Shea, hammered up and over the bar. But what about that free? Well, it was a trademark tap-over position for the Kenmare free taker. That was Paul O'Connor, but he went for the goal, and Mickey Net, it would have been spectacular.
Yes, it would probably remind me of a Mikey Sheehy goal long ago in 1978. But Westport spilled that coming out of defence, and they'll have to be careful taking the ball out of defence there, and especially in a wet day with the conditions the way they are.
And Kenmare settling into their stride very quickly here. They're 2 points to the good. We've played 8 minutes, and but for the underside of the crossbar, they'd have already hit the net as well. Here's Niall McManaman, man who played for Mayo a few weeks ago in the FBD League, gives it to Lambert. He went for goal, Paul Lambert, low and hard. I'm sure Kieran Fitzgibbon will say he had it covered, but a first glimpse of Niall McManaman in full flight. And Paul, he just showed us there why he was on Stephen Rochford's radar a few weeks ago. Very promising young footballer, and boy, he can move.
Yeah, Brian has had a fantastic campaign for us. He won our Player of the Year there at the recent dinner dance. So, there's no question he's been one of our best defenders all year, and he showed a clean pair of heels there.
And Paul Lambert should have hit the target?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, on a day like today, you're not going to get too many opportunities like that. You need to try and make them count.
So a let off for Kenmare, a missed chance for Westport, and still the Kerry and Munster champions setting the early pace. Here's Alan O'Leary, the man who came in at the last minute to replace the injured Stephen O'Brien. Kenmare trying to play too much football there though in their own defence. Mark Crowley trying to link up with his brother Dara, and it all got too tight. They get away with it though, and at the second attempt Mark Crowley fires it down the field over the head of Niall McManaman. Man tried to keep it in play there is Patrick O'Shea. He's a farmer and he's a fishmonger, and today he's on duty at right half forward for Kenmare Shamrocks. Pops the line ball neatly in front of his colleague in there, Kevin O'Sullivan, wrapped up by Lee Keegan. As always, abrasive, getting tight and up close to his man. That's a lovely ball from Alan O'Leary all the way across the D towards Paul O'Connor. Kevin Kane got two hands in. In fact, it was James Welch, I think, was it, or Keelan Dever, rather, that got the two hands in there on Paul O'Connor with a good solid push. And I think there was no doubt about that call.
That's probably a borderline case. It depends on the interpretation of the referee. I would have left it go, but I'm not a referee.
Yeah, I wish you were a ref in it, Mickey, because it looks a little bit fussy now so far, considering the conditions that are out there. You know, you'd be inclined to let a small bit of this stuff go, but so far he's pinged Westport 2 or 3 times in the defence.
Well, it has been noticeable in these first few minutes that Westport, any chance they get there, leaving their mark on the Kenmare forwards, are getting very tight. They're trying to knock them out of their stride. Paul O'Connor, meanwhile, has kicked the free. That leaves it Kenmare 3 points to the good here. And Westport try to make ground off their own kick out. Paddy O'Malley trying his luck over that left hand side. Lee Keegan was the intended target. This time Westport get the free. Man with the ball is Liam Staunton, leaving it long in towards Phil Keegan, the younger brother of Lee. Beaten though in the air initially. And Martin McNally again blows the whistle. Felt there was a need to award a free. Westport have blocked up the avenues of attack and the channels, and Kenmare forced to bide their time before eventually Paul O'Connor manages to dig out the pass to John Mark Foley. Man calling for it here on this near side is Darragh O'Shea. He's 2 Westport defenders for company. Kenmare trying to find a free man. Westport have blocked up though that middle channel completely. Westport have got 13 men behind the ball as Sean O'Leary fires in the shot from long distance over the blanket defence and drops short and into the arms of Patrick O'Malley. But Westport have set out their stall, Mickey Ned, in these first few minutes.
I mean, they're obviously going to play a very, very defensive game, and they're closing down, trying to break with speed. It may work, we'll see. But one player I think you should watch is Shawnee Shea in front. There has been an awful lot of space created in front of him. If Kenmare get the ball into him, he's going to be lethal.
Westport trying to find some space down at the other end, but Kenmare show they're equally adept at clogging things up. They got back quickly there to shut down the Westport forward line, and no way through on this occasion. Westport still waiting for their first score of the day. They haven't been putting up big scores anyway, Westport, on their run to this semi-final, but with Lewis Cawley out injured, we just wonder where will the scores come from today. Who will step into the breach?
I think they've scored an average 1-8 in each of their games, whereas Kenmare scored 2-12, but against lesser opposition. The opposition in Clare, Tip and Limerick were poor on the day.
So you can see just why Damien Loftus and his team have decided they've got to keep this tight, try and play on the break. Kenmare though already out in front. This is Paul O'Connor again. 2 very good feet. This one drops just away to the right and wide. And Paul Grady, you've been watching Westport all through this championship run. You're not seeing anything today you haven't seen before, and it's worked very well for them so far.
Yeah, we've been very solid defensively all throughout the campaign, you know, and I think they pride themselves on that. Our difficulty is transition into the attack and trying to create the chances that we're going to need up front, you know.
Short kick out from Patrick O'Malley, and Westport are on the move. Here's Fionn McDonough, another player who got a run with Mayo a few weeks ago, wrapped up by both Darragh O'Shea and John Mark Foley. John Mark Foley, an All-Ireland minor winner with Kerry last year. Very highly rated young footballer, and that was really, really well done, and for some dissent the ball has moved forward.
And John Mark's father would have probably been the most prominent player, PJ McIntyre, and officer in the Kenmare club over the last 40 years. Unfortunately, he passed away recently.
And as Mickey Ned was saying it a little earlier, so much tradition and history associated with so many of these Kenmare footballers. They're carrying on a tradition passed down to them through their family, all involved over the years. And Paul O'Connor, who is a beautiful free taker, has knocked over Kenmare's 4th point, and it's been a very efficient and impressive first quarter of an hour from the Kerry champions.
Well, it's about patience. It's about patience when you're playing against a blanket defence. It's about patience and waiting for the gaps to open up. And statistically, they open up every 20 seconds.
And certainly that patience paying off so far. We still await Westport's response. 10 points, by the way, good enough for Westport to win the county title against Kilshamagh back in October. You get the impression they'll have to be hitting bigger numbers to get over the line today and to book a place in the All-Ireland Club final. Kenmare, worth noting, they are already raging hot favourites to win this competition outright, and we're still only 15 minutes into the semi-final. Here's Colm Moran. Nice little pop pass to Phil Keegan. Paul Lambert wants it. Paul Lambert shoots, and Paul Lambert scores. 15 minutes exactly played. Westport's account is open.
Yeah, great score there from Paul Lambert. As Mickey Ned said, we did use our patience there. We created the opportunity and transferred the ball into Paul. Great score.
And the Westport crowd away to our left-hand side, up behind the goal, find a reason to break into song for the first time. Haven't had a whole lot to shout about in the first quarter of an hour. They're up and running now. Kenmare leading 4 points to 1. That kick out is caught by Westport, and there was a push, and it's a free, and it's drilled in by James Welch in front of Colm Moran, trying to spin away from the corner back. Goes to ground, referee says play away, and Colm Moran swivels and pops over Westport's 2nd point of the match. Much better, and it's 2 members of last year's Mayo minor team, Colm Moran and Paul Lambert, that have got on the score sheet, and all of a sudden we've got a 2-point game, Mickey Ned.
Well, it looks like if Westport run at the Kenmare defence, those last 2 occasions, Kenmare panicked a small bit. So the one chance that Westport have, take on the Kenmare defence.
Alan O'Leary for Kenmare decides discretion is the better part of valour. He works it backwards and then end field, and all the while Westport funnel back to man those defensive barricades and get organised. Kenmare patiently building from one side of the field to the other, but the ball is greasy, conditions are heavy, and that's won back by Westport. That was good work by Shane Scott. Ball driven in front of Colm Moran. They've only got 2 players up. Now the support arrives. Colm Moran, very strong for a Leaving Cert student. He's a very, very hard man to pin down at the best of times, and he does well there to hold it up, to draw the free. And certainly for a teenager, Paul Grady, he is well able to play that one-man full forward line role and well able to hold the ball up.
Yeah, he's a powerful young man, especially for a minor, considering there's 3 minors in that full forward line. But Colm can hold his own at this level. If he gets quality ball in there, he will do damage.
And the end result is a free in for Westport. It'll be kicked by Fionn McDonough, man of the match in the county final win. And if he can knock this between the sticks, well, it'll be a 1-point game, and then things will start to get a whole lot more interesting. He's watched by his manager Damien Loftus, a native of County Dublin. Fionn hasn't caught that cleanly at all. Diving across spectacularly to try and gather it was Dara Crowley. Manages somehow to squeeze it out through the cluster of players in front of him, but possession retrieved and won back by Liam Staunton. Has to do the work himself here. Manages to spin and get the shot in, but it's gone wide on his own side, wide to the left, and from a very promising position. Westport unable to come away with the score, and it remains 4 points to 2. Meeting in the other semi-final today, of course, St. Columkills of Meath and Pomeroy from Tyrone. That's a poor kick out from Kieran Fitzgibbon. Stubbed his toe. Chance for Moran. Fitzgibbon redeems himself with a flying save when it all came from the poor kick out, and that was very, very neatly done by Westport. Moran again up on his toes inside. He's razor sharp, and he draws a fine save from the keeper. But Paul, that's 2 goal chances for Westport, none taken.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a handle on the Kenmare kickouts, and we're pushing up on them, we're causing them problems, and that came directly from a Kenmare kickout that was intercepted by Paul Lampert. Great ball inside, but that's, as you say, 2 goal chances that we've let slip by, and we really need to be putting them away.
And they're obviously isolating, they're leaving Colm inside, Colm Moran, and he seems to have the legs on Darrow at the moment, and Kenmare need to close down that area.
Yeah, Colm Moran is certainly doing his best to step into the void left by Lewis Cawley's injury, as Paddy O'Malley, the goalkeeper, turns away in disgust, curses his luck. He had no issue whatsoever with distance, but he just didn't catch it on the sweet spot, and that's a wide for Westport. Another one. Will these missed chances come back to haunt them, or can they keep the pressure on and start knocking over a few more scores? Liam Staunton there does well, managed somehow to graft it out and to dig it out, and manages to win possession back for Westport. Goes short towards Paul Lambert. He's got very little to aim at inside. In fact, he's got one man to aim at. That's Colm Moran, and he's done it again. This time he's drawn a free. Dara Crowley has literally got his hands full now with Colm Moran, and the cornerback being spoken to by the referee, Martin McNally. And this is a free Westport simply have to get, but they're playing a very simple game. Colm Moran is at the he's the spearhead in there in that full forward line, and I see him having a quick word with the umpire as well, as all eyes fall onto Liam Staunton, very accomplished free taker. Conditions difficult. Staunton makes light of it. 4 points to 3. We're into the 21st minute, and things starting to tighten up a little.
Yes, and it's going to be a low-scoring game because of the defensive nature of both teams, and the conditions will have a big bearing.
And that was another kick out there from Kieran Fitzgibbon that I'm sure had a few Kenmare hearts in mouths. It didn't quite go to plan, but they get away with it. But Westport certainly have done their homework by the looks of things on the Kenmare kick out. Now, some work for Kevin Kane and company to do. Initially here, Shawnee O'Shea has slipped Kane. O'Shea under pressure. Kane did well there to make up the ground he'd lost. Of course, he's so experienced, the Westport fullback. He's played in and started in All-Ireland senior finals in recent seasons, and of course I'm sure, Paul, when Kevin Kane woke up this morning, he wasn't one bit bothered when he looked out the window and saw the weather the way it was. He will love these conditions.
No, Kevin doesn't mind it. This probably it works to his favour. It kind of tends to be difficult for forwards to turn quickly, and the bounce of the ball isn't there, so he'll be happy enough out there, same as Lee. You know, they can play in any conditions.
Westport now starting to get into this game. That was a good ball from Brian McDermott. Finds Paul Lambert. Delivers it in towards Moran again. He's the go-to man. The support got up very quickly. And I see Lee Keegan just having a word there with Paul Lambert. He feels the quality of the delivery needed to be better there. As out comes Kieran Fitzgibbon from his goal. Now there could be a break on here. A lot of Westport men caught out of position. The sweeper, though, that's Brian McDermott. He's sitting back in front of the Kenmare full forward line as Westport try to slow the delivery. This is Kevin O'Sullivan. Has to turn back in field. Support comes from David Hallisey. Looks up and pops the ball out in front of Shawnee O'Shea. Gets there in front of Kane, who's trying to stand him up again. Hard man to get by is Kevin Kane. Shawnee O'Shea gives it to the centre back, Darrow O'Shea. Back to Patrick O'Shea. And that shot just lacked the power to trouble Paddy O'Malley. And for all their effort and all their industry, Kenmare come away empty-handed. Paul Lambert, 14 in his back, but he's playing most of his football in that middle third, and he can cover ground. Brian McDermott, the captain. This is nice from Westport. The final shot comes in from Oisin McLaughlin, and you could tell from his expression there, he knew that was not the way it was meant to be. Poor clearance by Kieran Fitzgibbon. McDonough knocks it down to Phil Keegan. Westport trying to work their way through and manufacture an equaliser. McDonough, dangerous ball. Keeper comes and gets there. Two strong fists from Kieran Fitzgibbon, and away with the ball goes Tommy O'Sullivan, brother of Kevin O'Sullivan, the left half forward. Still the rain continues to fall persistently, and Westport dig in, working hard there in the trenches around the middle third, and that was good pressure. Moran had it, then lost it in the tackle. He just got swallowed up there by 2 or 3 defenders, and the man trying to take it clear for Kenmare was John Mark Foley, but he was met by a welcoming committee there of 3 or 4 Westport men across the 65. One of them was Keegan. This is Brian McDermott. Paul Lambert wants it and gets it. Phil Keegan is outside. Could be a goal chance here. Keegan shoots. Blocked at full stretch by Derek Crowley and pushed away for a 45. Well, they may be set up defensively, but in the last 5 minutes, particularly when Westport break, they look dangerous.
And what I like about the Westport forwards are pressurising the Kenmare backs coming out, and they're not allowing them make the connection up here, and they have the whole defensive area covered as well. So Kenmare are under pressure at the moment.
Well, the goalkeeper Paddy O'Malley was coming up to kick a 50. Instead, Westport went short. Paddy O'Malley is not happy with that decision. He was coming up to try and kick the ball dead. He was overruled, and now he's got to head back down the field, and Westport, their attack has broken down. I think that was mixed messages, Paul.
Yeah, a bit of a misunderstanding there, I think. I thought Paddy would have had a go at that, but we actually squandered it in the end.
Well, he certainly wasn't thanking his teammates there as he headed back towards goal. It's not a day for anything too revolutionary. It's a day when the basics, you'd imagine, are going to take you a long way. This is Mark Crowley under pressure from Oisin McLaughlin, but under too much pressure. There was a hand where there shouldn't have been, and that's a free out. We're into the last 5 minutes of normal time at the end of the first half in the AIB All-Ireland Intermediate Club Football semi-final, and it's Kenmare Shamrocks of Kerry who lead Westport of Mayo by 4 points to 3. But it's every bit as tight and as tense as that scoreline suggests, as that delivery down the line towards Patrick O'Shea just carries away from the wing forward. As soon as it hit the grass, it was gone like a flash. And that's possession back to Westport. Kevin Kane, the big full-back, venturing forward out towards the 45. Here's the call of Liam Staunton. Staunton gets his head up, but before he could deliver the pass, he was fouled from behind. And I think the referee is going to have a word, and we'll have a chance to catch breath and draw breath. But how are the Kenmare management feeling down there, Mickey Ned, at the moment?
I think they will have to bring Shawnee O'Shea out to the half-forward line, because the ball isn't coming down. There is a lack of connection between the half-backs and the full-forward line. I think they will bring him out to the half-forward line and run at the Westport defence.
Generally, will they be a little concerned or happy enough?
Yes, they will be concerned, because the longer this goes on, the more concerned they will be becoming, because Westport are hanging in there, working very hard and very honest.
The Kenmare management possibly concerned, Paul Grady. I'd imagine Damien Loftus quite pleased for the most part, but he will, I'm sure, be a little disappointed with those missed goal chances.
Yeah, I mean, we've come right back into this game after a poor start, and we're kind of dominating the game at the minute, but we're leaving chances behind us, and that's been the story of our season, to be honest. We seem to need a lot of possession and a lot of chances to get the scores necessary to win a game, but hopefully, if they keep dominating possession, they will come good.
Play there, toing and froing from end to end without any end product. I can tell you, in the other All-Ireland Intermediate semi-final, it's very tight as well. Level pegging between St. Columkills of Meath and Pomeroy of Tyrone. 4 points apiece. Back here in Ennis, it's still 4 points to 3. That shot has missed the target from Kenmare. And still the Kerry champions just about keeping their noses in front as we swing into the last 2 minutes of normal time at the end of the first half, when it's a day really for rolling up the sleeves and getting stuck in. Westport, of course, coming into this All-Ireland semi-final on the back of a solid, if not spectacular, Connacht final win over Ballinamore, Sean O'Heslin's. Kenmare, well, they had things slightly easier in Munster, beating Adair of Limerick in the provincial final and proving too good for Fethard and Kilfenora in that provincial series as well. That's a yellow card. Yellows all round there for Paul O'Connor and Keelan Dever, both of them in the book. And now Paddy O'Malley, after quite a long wait, gets a chance to strike this kick out. He's looking for Fionn McDonough way over on this near side. racing for possession there with Darrow O'Shea. Fouled by McDonough, free to Kenmare, delivered into Paul O'Connor. Keelan Dever trying to hold him up but can't overcommit now. He's on a yellow, the Westport number 4, O'Connor, the former Kerry minor, under 21, and he's played a bit of senior, makes some room, gets the shot in, and that's a lovely score on a hard day for a forward. Kenmare lead 5 points to 3. He's got lovely balance, lovely skill, 2 feet. He kept the defender guessing and guessing, and then he struck.
Yes, Paul has great balance, great skill, as you said, and he's a match winner on his day, but he's getting it tough enough from
Keelan Dever.
Keelan Devlin, yeah.
Keelan Dever, a tough bit of stuff. His dad, Connor, would have played county football for Mayo back in the late 80s and indeed early 90s as well. And Keelan Dever, very much a chip off the old block. We're in to the last few seconds of normal time now. We're just waiting on the fourth official to tell us about additional time. Westport pressing for a score that would close the gap to the bare minimum. That's Shane Scott, who slips it through the gap, manages to find Colm Moran. He's got great hands, he gets the shot away, but wasn't high enough to get over the defender. And we're going to have at least 2 minutes of additional time, so 2 minutes or thereabouts for Kenmare to push on, for Westport to try and reel them back in.
They're costly misses. They could be very costly towards the end of the game.
And they're starting to add up now, Paul Grady, between wides, shots that have dropped short, and the 2 goal chances. Westport could have possibly another 2-3, 2-4 maybe to their tally.
Yeah, we could be quite comfortable at this stage, but unfortunately we're not taking those chances, and it's probably a reflection of our inexperience really. Up there we have 5 minors out there today, and another couple of lads are just fresh out of minor last year, so we are a very young side, and it's hard for them to get all these decisions right at this level.
And yet they're still very much in contention. This is pretty much a full-blown war of attrition at this stage. Brian McDermott lays it off to Paul Lambert. Tough as nails, the diminutive number 14. Here's Lee Keegan. We haven't seen a whole lot of Lee in this first half, certainly on the front foot. He's brought to ground there by John Mark Foley from Kenmare. The Kenmare number 8 has his number noted by the referee Martin McNally, and Lee Keegan is being ushered back the field a little. I think he was possibly trying to steal a few yards there. Now the Westport goalkeeper Paddy O'Malley has come up the field again. Shane Scott has also come across, and it looks like Paddy O'Malley is going to have a shot at goal. Well, I think Shane Scott there learned his lesson after the short quick 45 that went wrong a few minutes ago, Paul. I think he could see there Paddy O'Malley meant business as he's made his way down the field.
Yeah, I think he's kicking this one no matter what's been said, but he's a long way out here. It's a big ask from here now.
This may well be the last kick, the last act of the first half. What a finish it would be for Westport. This drop short. Fitzgibbon comes from his line and spills it. It falls to Fionn McDonough. McDonough pivots, and that's a spectacular score from Fionn McDonough. And for all the misses and all the spurned opportunities, Westport are right back in this match. Rank outsiders before a ball was kicked, and now Kenmare have their lead pared back to the minimum, leading by 5 points to 4. The halftime whistle is going to sound any moment, but before it does, Martin McNally wants to talk to Phil Keegan and Mark Crowley. They have been pulling and dragging off the ball quite a bit, and I think they have stepped out of line once too often for the liking of the referee. Perhaps a stern talking to will do for now, but I think both players, Mark Crowley and Phil Keegan, being left in no doubt. He's got their eye on them. Kieran Fitzgibbon again, he forces that kick out. He's just not striking the ball cleanly at all, and he's managed to give it straight to Fionn McDonough, who's given it back to Kenmare just as quickly. And on that note, the half-time whistle sounds. Kenmare leading Westport by 5 points to 4. Kenmare and Westport back out ready to go ahead of the start of this second half. And remember, in case you needed reminding, one of these teams a half an hour from Croke Park. And there you hear the official attendance at today's doubleheader here at Cusack Park at Ennis. 3,909 people have turned out to watch 2 games, 4 clubs. Glenbeigh Glencarriff Kerry already through to the All-Ireland Junior Football Final. Will their neighbours Kenmare join them, or can Westport make history and go to an All-Ireland Club Final for the very first time? All will be revealed in round about half an hour, but if we do finish level after 60 odd minutes, we will have extra time. We will try and find a winner today. We will try and separate them on this gloomy Sunday afternoon here in Ennis. 1 point between the sides, and Westport playing from right to left in this second half in the sky blue with navy shorts. They have a free here through Liam Staunton and a chance to draw level. He's kicked it out of his hands, and it's developing into a Gary Owen more so than anything. Spilled, might fall for Colin Moran, who just stabs at it. Had to make up his mind there very quickly. He's a natural kid dog. He had to shoot off the right under a little bit of pressure, and it just squirts away to the left and wide, and that's another one in the missed chances, Colin Paul.
Yeah, it's adding up now, but I suppose he was under severe pressure there. He just snapped at it, took a chance, but it was a poor free from Liam Stanton originally.
Shane Scott catches the kick out from Kieran Fitzgibbon, who's having a lot of difficulties with his kick-outs today. They just haven't got going for him yet. This is Oisin McLaughlin. Lays it off to Lee Keegan. Stations at centre back, but maybe, just maybe, we'll see him creep forward a little more now in the second half as his brother Phil brings that ball into the tackle, but I think he was adjudged to have been barging there as he tried to make some ground. Now remember, he was spoken to by the referee before half time, and he's now got a yellow, and judging by Martin McNally's sign language there, I think he felt Keegan had deliberately pulled back or held on to the defender's arm, and that's a booking. And Phil Keegan, very talented soccer player as well with Westport United, goes into the book. Dara Crowley, poor ball, gives it away straight down the throat of Phil Keegan, who ironically gives it right back to him again. Cleverly done there by Dara Crowley, and here he is again up on his feet once more, the left corner back. Very tidy and tenacious number 4. Out to Alan O'Leary, wearing 18, but he did start, remember, in place of the injured Stephen O'Brien, the Kenmare captain. We do think we might see him for maybe the last 15-20 minutes, but not fit enough to start or come in at the break. Mark Crowley, good ball, held on tight by John Mark Foley, laid back as far as O'Leary again. Kenmare knitting half a dozen hand passes together, and all of a sudden now they're on the attack. Paul O'Connor, lovely jink to get away from the first defender, knocks it round the corner to Patrick O'Shea. Back to O'Connor again, and he was being held, he was being tugged back. Well spotted by the referee, and there's that patience again Mickey Nedger we're talking about.
Listen, I think their support play is improving again just for the first minute or two of the second half. Kenmare's what they neglected in the first half was support play out of defence, running for each other. There was much more of it there in that build-up, and hopefully we'll build on that.
Well, Paul O'Connor in the thick of it there again. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, now the leader of this Kenmare attack, particularly in the absence of Stephen O'Brien. And after all the hard work done by O'Connor, he converts the free himself, and that just gives Kenmare a little bit of breathing space. 6-4 now. The gap out to 2 points again. I see the Westport supporters at half-time have made the journey from behind one goal to right down to the other end of the ground. They're backing the Westport goalkeeper Paddy O'Malley in this second half. He's had their company for the first half an hour as well. And Paul Grady, they're the only teenagers that I see out in the elements, and doesn't look to be bothering them too much. They're enjoying themselves out there.
No, youth is a great thing. Hopefully that will tell on the pitch as well as this game develops.
Yeah, the Westport crowd out there in big numbers behind Paddy O'Malley's goal. Kenmare have sent down a delegation as well by the looks of things, as Patrick O'Shea weaves his way through the traffic, gives it back as far as Sean O'Leary. Nice ball down in front of Shawnee O'Shea in the corner. Kevin Kane is his shadow as always. O'Shea does well, manages to lay it off quickly to Alan O'Leary. Recycled to Shane O'Sullivan. Westport getting organised. Anyone who doesn't have a man is filling space. This is Shane O'Sullivan again. Kenmare being forced backwards by Westport, just pushing them out slowly and surely, forcing them to take the long way around. Nice ball though from Shawnee O'Leary to David Hallisey, the big number 9. Good defensive work by the left half back James Welsh. He's a strong man. He stayed with the forward there with Hallisey as he broke through and then stripped the ball off him. Now Westport will try and play on the counter again. Man on the ball is the right half back Brian O'Malley. Plays a 1-2 there just to grab himself a breath. Fionn McDonough gets his head up quickly. One man to aim at inside. That's Colm Moran. That ball is knocked into the space in front of Moran and Stephen O'Shea, but the cornerback does really well there to make up the lost ground. But good pressure from Moran. Didn't give up on that cause and manages to keep it alive. Back to Fionn McDonough. Fionn McDonough shoots. The snapshot fades across the face of the goal and away to the left and wide. Forwards at both ends finding space at a premium, and this time it's Fionn McDonough who's unable to finish as Martin McNally goes looking for John Mark Foley, and I think he feels he's got a blood injury. He got a bang there in that last passage of play and he's being asked to leave the field. So Kenmare will try and scramble a blood sub, and they have one ready to go. That's number 21, Colm O'Sullivan. He'll be coming in very shortly, but just now Kenmare are down to 14 men. That's a mark caught cleanly over there by David Hallisey. That'll give possession to Kenmare. Hallisey back as far as Dara Crowley.
Number 8, John Foley, has been replaced by number 21, Colm O'Sullivan. Temporary substitute.
Now Shane O'Sullivan, Westport. Again, they've got 13 men between Kenmare, number 5, Shane O'Sullivan, and the Westport goal. Good pressure by Phil Keegan. In there to help with the sleeves rolled up is the number 12, Liam Staunton. Foraging for Kenmare was the blood sub Colm O'Sullivan and Mark Crowley. And in the end, after a fairly untidy piece of play, Kenmare get the free.
It's an interesting thing because this is turning into be a dogfight. Kenmare haven't experienced a dogfight in any of their games up to date today. So to be interesting, will their character show through?
A yellow card, by the way, there for Lee Keegan a moment ago. The Mayo halfback is in the book. So along with his brother Phil now will have to be on his best behaviour. Still a 2-point game, as Mickey Ned said. It's a dog fight. It is an arm wrestle, this All-Ireland Intermediate Club Football semi-final. Whoever goes through to the final on the 19th of February are going to earn it. Here's Keegan again in the thick of things as always, linking up with his captain Brian McDermott. Here's Brian O'Malley, another Mayo minor last summer, and eventually Brian McDermott has seen enough and he goes long. The Mo Girach in on top of Colm Moran, does really well this time to get there in front of Stephen O'Shea, to win possession, to hang on tight and to engineer a free for himself. Well, he's a very young man. He's still a minor, and so much responsibility on his shoulders today in that full forward line with Lewis Cawley out injured, and he is giving Stephen O'Shea plenty of it. But as a battle, man on man, Mickey Ned in there, it's some tussle, isn't it?
Yes, and it could be a deciding factor in the end of the outcome of that battle will be decisive in the end.
It certainly is one of those individual tussles that has been catching our eye since the very start, and Colm Moran's good work leads to the free for Liam Staunton, and now it's a 1-point game again, and Westport manager Damien Loftus is making a change. Oisin McLaughlin has done as much as he can for the cause. He's been called ashore, and Ronan Geraghty, who was named to start for Westport, comes in.
Yeah, Ronan hopefully will get to the pitch of this game very quickly. Oisin probably worked very hard out there today, but it just probably wasn't his day. Conditions didn't suit him. He's known for his pace, and today isn't the day for that kind of game.
Lee Keegan now is starting to come more and more into this game as well, and it was Keegan who came onto that loose ball and sets Westport on the attack. This is Paul Lambert. He has been escorted towards the far sideline by Dara O'Shea, but O'Shea had a little tug of Lambert's jersey there as he tried to go by him, spotted by Martin McNally, and it's a free in, and this should suit a left-footed free taker like Fionn McDonagh, but it is worth pointing out the working conditions are fairly difficult. The surface is very slippy. The ball is like a bar of soap, and Fionn McDonagh will have to stick to his tried and tested technique, which he does. And Westport are level in this All-Ireland Intermediate Club Football semi-final. They have managed to slowly and surely reel Kenmare Shamrocks back in, and with 20 minutes to go, Mickey Ned, it's perfectly poised.
Yes, it is. The next 5 or 10 minutes will be decisive now. If Kenmare manage to get hold possession and take it to them, otherwise it could be they could be in trouble.
Well, we saw in the junior semi-final when Glencar got a goal, everything changed. But if Kenmare can't hit the net or don't hit the net, you get the feeling this is going to go the distance. As off the ball, we have a Westport man, or a Kenmare man rather, down. Now he's getting back to his feet again on the ball. Shawnee O'Shea clips it down the line as far as Paul O'Connor. Keelan Dever unable to stay with him. Across to back him up though came the left half back James Welch, and between the two of them they managed to shut down O'Connor. They've conceded a 45. All hands to the pump in the Westport defence. Kenmare manager John Sullivan is making a change. Brian O'Sullivan is coming into the Kenmare team in place of Patrick O'Shea. And I think, Paul Grady, it's fair to say if you've given Westport this scenario with 20 minutes to go, they'd have taken it beforehand, to be level with 20 to go and right in it.
I think so, yeah. I think if we were offered this before the game, we certainly have taken it. This is we're quite comfortable out there in this type of game. It is a battle. There's nothing in it. It's just who's going to create and take their chances from here on in.
I see players on both teams taking on some liquid at this stage. They're starting to feel the pinch. Very heavy conditions. This, of course, a first game of championship football for both of these teams in almost 2 months at this stage. 2 months since they would have won their respective provincial finals.
You see, 2 months is a big delay for the edge goes off a team, especially when they don't. Up to November they had built it up consecutively with championship after championship. So Christmas break, try and get the edge back is difficult.
Yeah, both of these teams more or less coming in today off a standing start, and there Paul O'Connor just off target with the 45, and despite the best efforts of Shawnee Shea, who tried to divert it towards Paddy O'Malley's goal, it's gone away to the right and wide. So now the tempo is starting to quicken a little. Everybody may be starting to tighten up a little though as well. So much at stake. This is the biggest game that the majority of these players have ever played in. They are so near and yet so far to a place in the All-Ireland Club final at Croke Park. Kenmare again decide to play keep ball. John Mark Foley fired out as far as Shawnee O'Shea. Westport have backed off a little, content to protect the D, content to protect their goal. Shawnee O'Shea's kick is half blocked down by Brian O'Malley. That took the sting out of the shot. And back there in numbers for Westport are a little cluster of defenders, and it's Brian McDermott who clears it away to the far side, trying to get it away from danger. Shane Scott gave himself a lot of work to do. Does well, hangs on tight, puts the head down, drives through the tackles and manages to win the free. Lee Keegan heard the call of his brother Phil. 16 minutes to go. That's 16 minutes of normal time. Remember, if they're still inseparable at the end of an hour, we will have extra time. Shane Scott standing right on the halfway line. Now it's Kenmare's turn to get back behind the ball and try and clog it up a little. Colin Moran touches it back as far as Ronan Gerrity. This is James Welch up from the Westport defence. Just maybe dwelt on that shot a little too long. That allowed the block to come in. And Kenmare can tidy it up at the back, bring goalkeeper Kieran Fitzgibbon into the game. And now in their own time, work it out through the lines as far as David Hallising. Hit hard and fair by Shane Scott. Not once but twice. Hallising threw the ball infield. Westport's pressure is relentless though. Ronan Gerrity getting involved, and Paul Lambert. Here's Shane Scott. Westport have never led in the game. Scott tried to kick them in front. It's gone away to the right and wide. Well, they're certainly now getting stuck in, Westport. They're starting to commit a few more bodies into attack when they do venture into the Kenmare half of the field. And I think something you said a little earlier, Mickey Ned, is starting to ring true, that Kenmare have not been in a battle for quite a while now, and this is foreign territory.
Yes, it's in, but then again, I still think they have the talent to bring it out of the fire, and this will be a true test of their character, and hopefully will benefit them long term.
Shawnee O'Shea trying to do just that. Shot dropped short, but it's going to be a free in for a foul on Shawnee O'Shea by Brian McDermott. In fairness to the referee there, he let the move develop. He played the advantage. Shawnee O'Shea unable to hit the target, and it's brought back for a free in to Kenmare. And if this goes over, they're back in front. If it doesn't, the status quo remains, but it's a very tricky free at the best of times, and in these conditions all the trickier. Man who's coming out to kick it is Paul O'Connor. Still no sign of Stephen O'Brien coming into the game as the minutes tick by. The Kenmare captain out with what's believed to be a hamstring strain, as Paul O'Connor steps up out of the hands. Beautifully done. He cut the cloth just to measure there. Hit the angle of post and crossbar. It could not have been any closer, but it sneaks over, and Kenmare lead again. 7 points to 6 now. Just shows, Mickey Ned, I suppose, the value of a free taker, a good free taker on a day like this.
Especially with his right leg out on the right hand side. Normally that would be a left footed, but right or left, with his right, that was an incredible point.
Beautifully done by Paul O'Connor, and here he is again now, stepping up for Kenmare when they need him in this second half. Man on the ball is Mark Crowley. This is Kevin O'Sullivan, who was caught with a stray hand. Now Lee Keegan is on a yellow, and if the referee Martin McNally saw that as a dangerous challenge or a reckless challenge, then Lee Keegan's day could be done. But by the looks of things, the referee is going to give Kenmare the free, and that'll be that. But Lee Keegan, Paul, is walking a very, very thin line now.
Yeah, as he often tends to do, of course, but I think that was harmless enough. I think it was accidental on Lee's part. He generally, once he's on a yellow card, Lee tends to mind his P's and Q's.
Well, you'd imagine at this stage of the game, at this state of the game, were Westport to lose Lee Keegan for the final 10-12 minutes, it would be a huge blow to their chances of grinding something out here. Even as it is going to be something of a battle. That's with Keegan, the footballer of the year, in their ranks and on the field. So it's Kenmare defending a 1-point lead, and with the chance here perhaps to double that advantage. It's a free about 45, maybe 46 yards from the Westport goal. Man who's going to strike it is Shawnee O'Shea. Delivers it in low, falls to Paul O'Connor, and as he backed away from the goal, Paul O'Connor, he got the shot in, clips the crossbar on its way over. Another one for the Kenmare full forward, another one for Paul O'Connor. He is the shining light up front for Kenmare Shamrocks in this second half. Scores very hard to come by, and it's now 8 points to 6. They'll breathe a little easier, the Kerry champions, as Westport make a change. Damien Loftus has decided to bring in number 18, David Horan, very experienced club footballer, and it's Liam Staunton who's made way. But Kenmare have a 2-point lead as we swing in to the last 11 minutes of normal time. That's a delivery in the general direction of Paul Lambert. He's doing his best to keep it in, and he did so, but only at the expense of giving it back. Possession, that is, to Darrow O'Shea. That was well played by the Kenmare centre back, who bided his time and came away with possession. Man on the ball for Kenmare is Sean O'Leary. Shawnee O'Shea's kick blocked down by Fionn McDonough. Shawnee O'Shea there maybe trying to be too clever. Possession won back by Westport by James Welch. He'll take the free himself as quickly as he can now. Time is of the essence for Westport. Paul Lambert, a little show and go from the full forward. Shot dropped short, didn't get hold of it at all, and it runs through to the Kenmare goalkeeper Kieran Fitzgibbon. Loose man on the far side for Kenmare. It's the left half back, Mark Crowley. Heard the call of Tommy O'Sullivan, who by the way is a nephew of Pat Spillane and a very capable footballer in his own right. Unable to keep that in. Westport have the ball. Well, they had it. They've lost it though. Back goes Tommy O'Sullivan again. He's clattered into by Shane Scott. That's going to be a free to Kenmare. And with 10 minutes to go, Mickey Ned O'Sullivan, is a 2-point lead going to be enough?
Well, hopefully it is from a Kenmare point of view, because it's a very low scoring game, and 2 points is a big lead in a low scoring game, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
And Paul, I imagine Westport will stick to the game plan. There won't be any dramatic change in the next 10 minutes.
No, not at the moment now, but we certainly need to start taking some of these chances. The wides are mounting up, and we're just leaving this game handing them this game to Kenmare, to be honest.
There's certainly an element of Westport leaving this one behind them all right in so many ways. So many missed chances. Kenmare have been much more efficient. As onto that ball with real purpose comes the centre forward, Seanie O'Leary, and over it goes. That's a super score from Sean O'Leary, just underlining the point about economy and efficiency and patience yet again displayed in abundance by Kenmare. They threw it around, they worked it to the best man in the best position, and over it went. Super score.
Well, I suppose that's it. That where you're playing, as I already said, against a blanket defence, it's about patience, and it's about decision making the right decisions in the right time. So they did that exceptionally well.
Now Westport need to come up with something, and fast, if they're going to get back into this game. Kenmare in the box seat. Remember, they are the favourites to go all the way and win the All-Ireland Intermediate title and atone for that junior final defeat 3 years ago against Ballinasloe. And right now they have Westport right where they want them. Kenmare 3 points to the good, and all of that achieved, remember, without the services of their captain Stephen O'Brien. And if they are to win this, Mickey and Ed, without him on the field, it will make the achievement all the more notable.
It would, because Stephen is an inspiring captain. Without him, it obviously has an effect on the team, but they have had to dig deep, and they are digging deep. And if they come through this, it will benefit them enormously.
And right now they're showing themselves to be very adept and capable at keeping possession of the ball, running down the clock, and frustrating Westport. Mark Crowley gives it to Shane O'Sullivan. Kenmare trying to stretch Westport and drag them out of position. Here's Paul O'Connor, gets there in front of Keelan Dever. Dever manages to stand him up. O'Connor gets his head up, has a little look. Support arrives from the substitute Brian O'Sullivan. Back to O'Connor again. Dangerous ball. Paddy O'Malley comes, gets there, takes a heavy hit. Kenmare still keeping the move alive. It's Kevin O'Sullivan manages to squeeze it out as far as Alan O'Leary. Again, Kenmare will play this ball around and try and probe for an opening. Mark Crowley, the left half back, just outside his range though, forced the shot. Heavy legs, tired minds, and Paddy O'Malley gets it away as far as Lee Keegan. Westport will need Keegan now to move through the gears a little more in these last 6-7 minutes, as away goes Westport. This is David Horan, Niall McManaman, the corner back. Man outside is Colin Moran. McManaman again. Could there be a goal here for Keegan? The pass is over the head of Phil Keegan and out over the line and wide. That just might have been Westport's last chance, their best chance to open up Kenmare, to get the goal they need, and it's gone a begging.
Yeah, that's very disappointing. It was a fantastic move. They cut their defence right open. You know, Niall McManaman was brilliant, but unfortunately the final ball let us down.
Well, that was another let-off for Kenmare, Mickey Ned, and Westport will be cursing their luck and most of all that misplaced pass.
Well, it is all about taking your chances, making the right decision at the right time. Obviously it didn't work out, and time will tell whether it would be costly.
Still a 3-point lead for Kenmare. Was that to be Westport's last chance of a lifeline in the shape of a goal, or can they create another chance before the day is done? 5 minutes to go, 5 minutes of normal time to play. Kenmare again slowed right down, so controlled when they're in possession. This is John Mark Foley, just nonchalantly popping it outside as far as Shane O'Sullivan. Paul O'Connor staying patiently inside of the full forward line, but he'll have to wait a little longer. This ball will not be arriving. Westport have managed to win it back. Phil Keegan has been fouled, and it's going to be a free for that illegal challenge on the Westport number 11. And a chance for them perhaps to orchestrate something. Keegan is there. The oldest man on the Westport team at 27 years of age is Lee Keegan, as the referee's attention is brought to something by his linesman on that far side. And Lee Keegan waits impatiently to take the free. Kenmare getting their defence organised. Mark Crowley trying to get back in front and sweep. This is Shane Scott. Does well to grab the delivery. Now, what can he work from here? Referee blows the whistle. Well, he hasn't signalled, but if that was a foul on Shane Scott, it's a penalty. Referee consults with the umpire. It's a penalty. What about that for a turn of events? That is a real bolt from the blue. Obviously, when Shane Scott caught that ball in the square and turned, referee Martin McNally thought he saw a pull on a jersey. He blew his whistle, went to get a second opinion from the umpire, and he's awarded Westport a penalty. Now the question is, Paul, should it have been a penalty, and who's going to take it?
Well, Shane Scott is going to take it. He won it. He's going to take it by the looks of things. And in fairness, it's hard to see was it a penalty from up here, but the umpire called it. We can only assume he had a better view than us.
It's as simple as this. If Shane Scott scores, we're level with 3 minutes to go. It's in. It's a goal. Kieran Fitzgibbon very nearly got there. He got a hand or maybe two to it, but it had too much power, and it creeps over the line and into the net, and Shane Scott has come up with the goal for Westport, the golden goal, to level the match with 3 minutes to go. And now, Mickey and O'Sullivan, we have a scenario where the next score could and possibly will win the game.
Or else the next mistake. It's all about who's going to be dispossessed and who makes the wrong decision at this time.
Well, a huge call by the referee, Martin McNally from Monaghan, to give the penalty, and Shane Scott held his nerve. He went low and hard. The goalkeeper guessed right, but he just couldn't keep it out, and Kenmare's defence has been breached. Now, Shawnee O'Shea for the Kerry champions, open road in front of him, everybody pulling out. O'Shea driving towards the crossbar. Brian O'Malley is back for Westport. James Welch is back. Shawnee O'Shea manages to find Alan O'Leary, who shoots, drops in around the house, and it's scrambled away for a 45. Well, what drama and excitement and tension in these last couple of minutes. It looked like Kenmare had broken Westport's resistance, but now all of a sudden it's deadlock in the dying minutes as the Kenmare manager decides to freshen things up. He's taking out David Hallisey, he's bringing in Shane Dalton. The smallest thing now could tilt the scales, of course.
I think they have the right man in the right place. Paul O'Connell is a man for the big occasion. There's nobody else I would prefer more than taking this 45 than Paul O'Connell.
Well, if Paul O'Connor knocks this over, Westport will have a minute or two to find an equaliser. If not, if things don't change in the next few minutes, if we stay as we are, we will have extra time. It's as simple as that. Westport are getting ready to bring in another sub. It's number 17, Colm Geraghty, another of these young players that have come through their conveyor belt at St. Patrick's Park. Here's Paul O'Connor. This to probably win the game. He struck it beautifully. Paddy O'Malley catches it under the crossbar. It was on target. It was on its way. It just didn't have the legs. And big Paddy O'Malley grabs it and sets Westport away. So it's still a case, you'd imagine, of next score wins. Lee Keegan has it for Westport. Down as far as Paul Lambert. This is what we came to see. This is what the crowd of 3,000 and more came to see. This club championship semi-final going to the wire. That's a mistake by Westport. They've lost possession. Kenmare have got the ball back again, and no better men to guard it, protect it, and create an opening. Dara Crowley trying to go by Brian McDermott. Here's Paul O'Connor, the sharpshooter, the leading light in that Kenmare forward line, hanging on to it, gets it back as far as Shane O'Sullivan. Next man on the line is John Mark Foley. You can see what Kenmare are trying to do. They're trying to work it to the shooters. They're trying to get their marksmen free. Westport have got 14 men behind the ball. We're going to have at least 3 minutes of additional time. The first of those has already started. Will we have a winner in normal time, or will we have to go to extra time? We're going to find out very, very shortly. What an intriguing game this has become. Kenmare racing out of the blocks to lead by 3. Westport, it took them a full 15 minutes to score, and now we have this nerve-biting last few moments. Kenmare are holding possession, working it slowly and surely around and back and over, and eventually they've been forced to concede a free. They hung on too long. It was Kevin O'Sullivan who was pressured and hassled and harried, and Westport's defences stand up to the test, and Kenmare just couldn't get out of that spider's web, Mickey Ned. They couldn't find a way through.
Well, the Westport team played to their strengths. They're very good defensively. They can close down space. They kept the pressure on and eventually won possession.
Do you think we're going to extra time?
Well, it looks like it at this stage. There's only 15 seconds left.
So Westport have the ball. Remember, we're due to have at least 3 minutes of additional time. So a minute or so to go. And then after that, it's up to the referee. James Welch for Westport. Colm Moran trying to get free. In after it is Colm Geraghty. Well taken down by Tommy O'Sullivan, the Kenmare full-back. Cleared away as far as Sean O'Leary. Can Kenmare stitch together one last attack? Can they create one last chance for the likes of Shawnee O'Shea or Paul O'Connor? Westport get 4 men around the ball carrier. One of them was Paul Lambert. It's there for whoever wants it more. Down goes, was it Lee Keegan? He's watching developments from a slightly further afield, but whoever went down on that ball for Westport, he's still very, very gingerly getting back to his feet. In fact, it's I think Brian McDermott, it's taking him a couple of seconds to recover. Well, he's going to have a few minutes now to gather his thoughts, because it's all over and it's finished in a draw in this AIB All-Ireland Intermediate Club Football semi-final. It's finished. Kenmare Shamrocks 9 points, Westport a goal and 6. We're going to extra time. This intermediate semi-final, where it has developed into an epic. In the other semi-final, by the way, we're just hearing St. Columkills of Meath have beaten Pomeroy of Tyrone after what sounded like a cracking game, 3-11 to 2-11. So St. Columkills of Meath are through to the AIB All-Ireland Intermediate Club Football Final on the 19th of February at Croke Park. Now all we have to find out is who will join them. Will it be Westport to appear in their first ever All-Ireland Club Football Final, or will it be Kenmare back at Croke Park after a 3-year absence, having lost the junior final of 2013? The first period of extra time is off and running. It'll be Westport playing from left to right as you look at it in their sky blue jerseys and navy shorts, against Kenmare in the black jerseys, or red jerseys rather, with black shorts, playing from right to left. And still all to play for. We'll have 2 10-minute periods of extra time, and at that stage, should we not have a winner, well, then we'll have to do it all over again.
Whoever wins this game, it's worth about months training. Will have a serious advantage going into the final.
Now, who will make that first initial break? It's Kenmare who come out of the blocks. That's a dangerous ball, and in underneath it, as always, was Paul O'Connor, and Paddy O'Malley equal to it, up on his toes and alert the big Westport goalkeeper. But O'Connor again making a nuisance of himself. Here's Colm Geraghty for Westport, trying to link up with Ronan Geraghty in the corner. The two second half substitutes, they're still fresh, still going strong. Colm Moran chasing after this, tangling with Stephen O'Shea as they went in after it, but the goalkeeper Kieran Fitzgibbon left his line smartly there, knew there was a little bit of work to be done, and gets it away to the far side of the field. The drizzle and the sheets of rain that have been a constant companion now for the last couple of hours, well, it's gone nowhere, still falling, still making life difficult for both teams, still making even the simplest task something of a lottery. That was Seanie O'Shea there who got away from James Welch, but that's because he had pushed the Westport defender in the back, and that gives Westport the free out. But Paul Grady, in terms of conditioning, fitness, stamina, any concerns from a Westport point of view going into extra time?
I don't think so. I think you would have seen the run-in we had in the Mayo Championship when we had six-week run-in, 6 games in 6 weeks, and we were able to get through that. So, we've had a good break since then. I think most of these lads are fresh enough.
Possession turned over though by Westport, and Kenmare onto it in a flash. Sean O'Leary trying to set Seanie O'Shea up there. Lee Keegan dives in to get a hand to it to knock it away from danger, as Kenmare tried to stay forward, stay camped in that Westport half. Ball work to Alan O'Leary. He was shooting for a score, instead it spins off his boot. Man trying to keep it in play is Paul O'Connor. He's got 2 Westport defenders for company. O'Connor does really well to hang on to it and to find a teammate. This is John Mark Foley. Manages to keep the move alive. Westport pushing out quickly, and again putting the pressure on and managing to disrupt Kenmare's rhythm. James Welch it was initially there to get in the way, and Lee Keegan completes the clean-up job. Down towards Colm Moran. Uses his strength to hold off his man. Second man across is Dara Crowley. Still Colm Moran going strong, and in the end the forward is penalised for leading with the elbow, barging on his way through. Westport not one bit pleased. Kenmare feel justice was done. Mickey, Ned, would you agree? Fair call?
Well, I suppose far be it for me to disagree with any referee. No, I suppose the referee called it right.
So free to Kenmare, and all that spade work and endeavour of Colm Moran ends with Kenmare leaving their own half. Fine catch by Seanie O'Shea, takes it down cleanly in front of James Welch. Foul as he tried to make some inroads. He'll go back to John Mark Foley. Just Paul O'Connor inside Westport's 20-metre line. Kevin Kane sweeping in front of the Kenmare full forward. That's one of the reasons Kenmare have got to play possession football here. The other being that Westport have got 13 men back inside their own 65. Referee Martin McNally blows his whistle there. He felt there was a tug on a jersey. He's going to usher Kenmare back a little before they take the free. It really is now survival of the fittest out there. Every yard is hard earned and hard gained. Ball is played across the field though towards the centre half back. Dara O'Shea makes ground, gets the shot in. Kenmare go back in front. It takes the centre half back Dara O'Shea to come forward to join his attack and to fire over Kenmare's 10th point of this All-Ireland club football semi-final. They lead 10 points to 1-6, and that, Mickey Ned, if nothing else, will rally the troops.
Yes, I think Westport are double teaming Paul O'Connor, so it leaves Kenmare with no option but to build slowly, because they don't have anything to leave the ball into space to. So it's a patient game they've got to play.
And that patience paying off there as Dara O'Shea nudges the Kerry and Munster champions back in front. The winners will play St. Columkills of Meath on the 19th of February at Croke Park. Glenbeigh Glencar, well, they will take on the Rock from Tyrone in the junior final. Will it be a Kerry double-header? James Welch threads it through towards Colm Moran. Once more he's got the corner back, Stephen O'Shea, for company, but he gets the shot away. What a score from Colm Moran. Well, they have had a battle royal all day long, Moran and O'Shea. They have hopped off one another, they have chased one another around Cusack Park, and that time Moran's persistence and perseverance pays off. Level again.
Yeah, very happy with that. Great score from Colin Moran. He used all his power, and in fairness to him, not everything has gone his way today, but by God, he has kept working and working and working, and he's still there. He's still our main hope to come out on top in this game.
So we're into the final 4 minutes of this first period of extra time, and we're right back where we started, level pegging again. John Mark Foley, man who played at Croke Park on many occasions for the Kerry Miners last summer, sets this attack in motion that is continued on by Paul O'Connor. 2 or 3 Westport defenders get in tight. Kevin Kane trying to put the squeeze on O'Shea. This is Alan O'Leary. It's gone in, but did it go directly in? It did, says the referee. It's not going to count. It had crossed the line, I think, before Brian O'Sullivan got a touch. Had he got a touch before it went over the line, it was legitimate. The goal would stand, but Alan O'Leary's fisted effort went all the way to the net. Almost Bomber Liston style back in the day. Doesn't count. And Westport break quickly. This is Colm Geraghty, shoots on sight, shot drops short, and Fitzgibbon gets it away for Kenmare. But Mickey Ned O'Sullivan, that was oh so close to Kenmare's first goal.
Unfortunately, but it'll all boil down to who wants it the most and who has the endurance and the fitness for the last 10 minutes.
Well, it certainly is going to be a battle, a fierce battle to the finish now. And whoever's left standing at the end of all of this is going to have earned their ticket to the All-Ireland final. Players now starting to drop through a combination of fatigue and just sheer exhaustion from heavy hits that have been flying in for over an hour. Lee Keegan is actually down right now, getting some attention. He looks a very tired man as Paul O'Connor prepares to kick this free for Kenmare. Well, their forward line have been working overtime today, Kenmare, to try and create chances and opportunities. They need O'Connor to step up again, and he does just that. He really has been in impeccable free-taking form, Paul O'Connor. He's kicked a string of crucial, very impressive scores, and Kenmare are back in front once more by a point as we head towards half-time in extra time. Keegan digging deep now into those reserves of stamina. Gives the ball, takes the return pass, being chased though by a couple of Kenmare men, including his direct opponent Kevin O'Sullivan, and that was good work by O'Sullivan with a little bit of help from the wing backs Shane O'Sullivan and Mark Crowley. They bottled Keegan up, they took the ball away from him, and Keegan, for one, Paul Grady, does look like he's almost running on empty now. He certainly looks like the game, the conditions, the effort is starting to take its toll.
Yeah, it's Lee at this time of year, I suppose, normally wouldn't be on top of the ground, and the type of training he'd normally be doing this time of year would be preparing for a high summer, but we know he'll last. There's no worries about Lee. He'll recover very quickly.
Westport have made a change. Brian O'Malley has been replaced, the half-back, and it's Fionn McDonough who's come back into the match. He was replaced just before the end of normal time, but McDonough now will be looking to recapture the form he showed in the county final and the Connacht final to try and inspire Westport to greater things. We're going to have at least 1 minute of additional time. We're into that first minute at the end of this first period of extra time, and it's still Kenmare just about setting the pace. They lead by 1. Play switched from one wing all the way across to the other to Sean O'Leary. Lee Keegan has given away the foul. Their referee is playing the advantage. He lets it develop. The time had elapsed. The shot comes in and it's gone wide, and I think Sean O'Leary is just asking the referee why they didn't get the free. He had played the advantage and Kenmare just ran out of time making it.
Yes, I suppose the ref gave him the advantage and didn't call it back, but that's within his right.
So it remains a 1-point game. It remains a war of attrition. Kenmare's half-back line on this occasion stands firm. It was the left half-back, actually, Mark Crowley, who got in under that, but the referee wants to have a word with Shane Scott before the play continues. Scott has been shown a yellow card, and he joins that list that's getting a little longer with every passing minute in Martin McNally's book. The half-time whistle sounds. It's advantage Kenmare. They lead by 1. We're working our way through the Jaffa cakes and the bananas at a rate of knots here in the commentary box. Second half ready to go.
I see Stephen O'Brien is stretching down there. There might be a possibility we might see him before the game is over.
Well, desperate times now require desperate measures, and as McKean said, we can see Stephen O'Brien just warming up at the moment. Maybe, just maybe, he has a few minutes in him, and maybe that could be all Kenmare need to tilt the balance and to book their place in the All-Ireland final. They're a point to the good as we get up and running again. Kenmare playing in the second half from left to right. 10 minutes of extra time to be played. Westport trying to dig out an equaliser. The ball is in the hands of David Horan. Wouldn't be known for his scoring feats. Shoots on sight, and that shot pulls across the face of the goal, and it's gone away to the left and wide. Another missed opportunity for Westport, as Kieran Fitzgibbon, the Kenmare goalkeeper, takes no chances with the kick out. Goes short, and the ball is now in the arms of Mark Crowley. Shane Dalton, who came in during the first period of extra time, is caught. Fionn McDonough is the Westport player who is being called across by the referee. Well, neither side can afford to lose anybody at this stage. It is set up for 10 minutes of hard graft. Everybody will be needed, and Fionn McDonough is shown a yellow card. John Mark Foley on the ball for Kenmare. Nobody coming to support him from behind. Instead, he tosses it forward, and Kenmare try their luck down along that left-hand side. Niall McManaman tracking back for Westport, did well. Didn't jump in, had the legs there on his marker, and manages to win the ball back and win the free for Westport. They need to stitch together another move now in the not too distant future to get back on terms again. As Lee mentioned at half-time there, of course, it is Westport who have to chase this. Kenmare just with that little bit of breathing space. Brian McDermott, the Westport captain, trying to drive his way past the shoulder of Kevin O'Sullivan. Easier said than done. McDermott held up, stopped in his tracks, and Westport get the free. This is Keegan. Lee Keegan in full flight, digging in now, trying to find another level, trying to find some more stamina, some more energy to go again for these last 7-8 minutes. Keegan fouled, and Westport are sending big Shane Scott in again towards the edge of the square. Scott, who was fouled for the penalty that threw Westport the lifeline at the end of normal time. Meanwhile, a black card for Kenmare Shane Dalton for that tackle. Martin McNally shows a black card to Shane Dalton. His day is over, and Kenmare will need to bring in a replacement. Keegan delivers. Scott jumps, falls to Colin Moran, trying to squeeze it back as far as Ronan Geraghty. Good defensive work by Kenmare. They got 3 men in around the ball carrier. One of them was the cornerback, Dara Crowley, and they managed to stand their ground, and they managed to get it away. Westport finding it very difficult to manufacture the equaliser as Kenmare send David Hallisey back in. That's to replace the black-carded Shane Dalton. But just as important, Stephen O'Brien has come into the match for Kenmare. The team captain, the number 15, the Kerry senior star. He's in for these last 6 minutes to replace centre forward Sean O'Leary. Stephen O'Brien, who didn't start due to a hamstring problem, he's gone straight in to Kevin Kane, and they're getting to know each other, shall we say, in there on the edge of the square. It's Kevin Kane and Stephen O'Brien are down at one end. Meanwhile, Westport try and stay inside the Kenmare half. Fionn McDonough gives it to Phil Keegan. Here's Brian McDermott, winds up for a big one from 50 yards. It's over. Brian McDermott, the Westport captain, comes up with the goods, comes up with the equaliser, all square again.
Yeah, great score from Brian there. As you said before, maybe he wouldn't be known as scorer, but he's got some crackers this year. You know, all credit to him.
5 minutes to go, Mickey Ned, and again we start to wonder, will we have a winner?
Well, both teams are out on their feet now at this point, and it's about who wants it most, as I keep saying, who's going to dig deep.
And who will step forward now in either Kenmare or in Westport to take this on, to put themselves in the position of match winner, headline grabber or hero. Mark Crowley for Kenmare, still full of running, the left half back, manages to find his man as well. That was the centre half back, Darragh O'Shea. Here's Stephen O'Brien, first touch for the county man, the team captain. Kevin Kane putting that hamstring of Stephen O'Brien's to the test. Referee playing the advantage. Kenmare get it into the centre. They're lining up the shooters. Kevin O'Sullivan back to the corner back. It's Darragh Crowley. Crowley winds up, just seemed to spin off the outside of his boot. There was another man moving into position on the outside, Shane O'Sullivan. Crowley took the shot on, and probably, Mickey Ned, in hindsight, the wrong man in the right place.
Well, it's all about taking it on the burst off the shoulder, and he was unaware there was somebody else off his shoulder, but that's life, that's football, it's about decision making.
4 minutes to go, still all square. Any ideas, Paul, where Westport's match winner could come from?
Well, we're looking for leaders now out there. Brian McDermott has done his bit as a captain. He stepped up and got the last one. We're looking for Lee now and the likes of him to step up the last couple of minutes and create something for us.
Fantastic catch by Kevin O'Sullivan to win the mark. Takes the free. That's a big hit by James Welch on the Kenmare substitute. No free given. It was Brian O'Sullivan who felt the full force of James Welch. It looked like a free initially, none given, and the referee lets the play continue, and eventually Kenmare get a free all right, but it's not the one they wanted. Well, that's a talking point, one of many from this game. Good work by Colm Geraghty, the Westport sub. Brian McDermott has gone down with cramp. Did Colm Geraghty hop that ball twice? If he did, it was missed by the referee, as that delivery in Lee Keegan's general direction is overcooked. It's gone out over the line. Possession back with Kenmare again. But what a game we've had. It has been a marathon journey for Westport and Kenmare to get to this stage of the All-Ireland Series, and they are serving up some semi-final. Here's Keegan in there in the thick of it again. Fires it back to Shane Scott. Scott shoots! Scott scores! Westport hit the front in the 8th minute of extra time. Have the Mayo and Connacht champions timed their run to absolute perfection? We're going to find out very shortly. But Shane Scott, the man who scored the penalty to send this game to extra time, he maybe, just maybe, has delivered the winner as well. Oisin McLaughlin is back in for Westport. Paul Lambert has made way. Paul Grady, what a score, what a moment for Shane Scott to take this game by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, as I said, it was time for leaders to step up, and no better man than Shane. That was a fantastic effort now, and that's what you need at this time of a game. Your leaders out there to step up and get us over the line.
And Mickey Ned O'Sullivan, it comes moments after a free that wasn't given to Kenmare at the other end that probably should have.
Yes, I think the ref didn't make it. He balked. He probably funked it a small bit, but that's the football. You have to take it. Kenmare are still in it. They won't throw in the towel, so there's still a minute left.
And right on cue, the referee is back in the spotlight again. This time he's given Kenmare a free, and it's a yellow card for the Westport man. Is it Ronan Geraghty? And it is a chance for Kenmare to level the game and possibly, probably send this to a replay. Well, Westport lead by 1 in the 10th minute of the second period of extra time here at Cusack Park in Ennis. and late drama, late excitements as Paul O'Connor, the Kenmare full forward, the man who has kept the show on the road for the Kerry champions all day long, has this chance to level the game one more time. All eyes on Paul O'Connor. It's wide, away to the right, and Paul O'Connor has missed it. And has he missed Kenmare's last chance? We haven't been told how much additional time we'll have, but for a man who's kicked points for fun, Mickey Ned, at times today, from all angles, from all distances, you would have bet him to put it over.
Well, that's the nature of football, and conditions don't help, but the game is still not over.
3 minutes of additional time to be played. 3 minutes for Kenmare and Westport to put them and us through the ringer. Kenmare have 3 minutes to save their championship season, to keep their dream of going back to Croke Park alive. Westport have 3 minutes to try and see this out. Kenmare come on the attack again. It's the Crowley brothers who combine. Dara to mark, the shot dropped in. A mix-up in the Westport defence, and in the end, a free out for a foul. Well, anything could have happened there. It was bouncing around like a pinball in front of the Westport goal. We waited and wondered and watched to see what would happen next. Free out was the decision. Hearts in mouths again, Paul Grady.
The tension is unbearable here. I'm exhausted, Mike. I think you might be too. God knows what them lads are feeling like out there, but huge credit to both teams. Fantastic battle, and they're still going hard at it.
Well, we're all running on empty at this stage. Westport, they're within minutes of an historic win, and here they come to try and make it safe. Colm Moran to Colm Gerrity. Gerrity knocks over surely the insurance point, and our Westport going to Croke Park for the very first time. Westport lead by 110 to Kenmare's 11 points in an All-Ireland club semi-final that had absolutely everything. It's all over. What a game, what a win, what a finish. And Westport of Mayo and Connacht are going to the All-Ireland final. Heartbreak for Kenmare Shamrocks. Utter and sheer heartbreak and disappointment for the Kerry and Munster champions. They fought the good fight. They were oh so close at times to getting it done. But Westport came back from the brink, and in extra time they wore Kenmare down, and in the end Westport come out on top. Mickey Ned, your thoughts, your impressions. Where do we start to summarise a game like that?
Well, there's great credit due to both teams. Conditions were difficult. We said at half time that Westport were used to dogfights. They were used to every game in Mayo and in Connacht was a dogfight. We probably got it a little bit easier. We weren't used to being under that kind of pressure, and it probably told in the end. And I mean, they deserve to win because they kicked a lot of wides, and all we can do is wish them the best now in the final.
Well, what a day out there, what a day in here. It's finished in a victory for Westport. My thanks to Mickey, Ned and Paul as well for their company. Let's hand you back over to Liam to try and make sense of all of that.
Well, I think making sense of that may be beyond all of us here. Well done to Mike there. He had a marathon afternoon, the two games, and Mickey, Ned and Paul there, and Colm and Jerry earlier on. Stephen Stack, that was some turnaround in injury time in the second half. Westport found their composure. It had eluded them all day long.
Yeah, I think I think when Kenmare were still a point ahead, I think one of their players slipped here in front of us, coughed up possession, and again they were in a good position to try and hold on to the ball. That led to one of the points, which was a great score, and then young McDermott got the second one, which was fantastic score, and just when they needed that little bit of composure late in the game, they were able to show it, and it's funny that the two players that scored were the ones who weren't getting the chances all day, so they found two scoring players when they needed them,
I know you've had a busy day here, Stephen, a lot of action, but a great day's football.
Oh, great day's football. I mean, this turned out, the quality of the football in the second game mightn't have been as good, but there was great intensity and great endeavour by both teams, and the football in the first game, was fantastic, you know. So considering it is the 29th of January, you know, when you consider that these aren't all senior players, you know, they put great fare on show. I thought it was fantastic, really great entertainment. And I mean, a crowd of 3,000, you know, which is fantastic. It's a great turnout, like the people from both the four clubs travelled, like, which is all what the club championship is all about, you know. It was marvellous.
Two very excited clubs off to Croke Park now.
Oh yeah, absolutely, sure. It's going to be tremendous for them, and coming up in a couple of weeks' time, playing in the All-Ireland final, you know, for I think the first time in both clubs' history, you know. So it's a marvellous occasion for both, and for the supporters of both teams as well, you know.
I want to grab Austin Groden, the club chairman. Austin, I saw you hugging with Gay Abandon there in the final whistle. It was so unexpected, I suppose, for a while there. You were chasing to get level, chasing, trying to get a point ahead. I think he surged in the closing stages.
We did, yeah. I was thinking on the first half there, you know, stood out of Kenmare, but we weren't far behind, you know, it was a point, 2 points. I was thinking, geez, if we're in this game with 5-10 minutes to go, we'd have the hungers in us, you know, and the legs are in us. We have so many young lads today, and fair play to Lee and Kevin that drove on there at the end, you know, and Jesus, it was brilliant, you know. It's great for Westport now, it's great for the town. Jesus, heading to Croke Park now. Oh, it's been some year, you know, some year.
And for the club overall, I mean, you've been an emerging, a powerful force underage in Mayo for some time now. You've got a really good facilities in the club, fantastic new clubhouse, the new bursary scheme, the first in the country you've announced with the Hughes Family Hotel, Westport and that. And people felt after winning the Mayo title, that was kind of the beginning of something new for Westport. This is a whole other level now for you.
It is, yeah, and you know, it goes back to the 7th of May there when we opened the clubhouse. Aegon O'Farrell or Uthran was down to open it, and it's great to be going up to Croke Park to meet him again now after a successful year.
There's only one place to meet him in Croke Park though, that's the top of the steps.
I must pay a tribute to Damien Loftus, our manager, and his selection team. You know, he has worked with this team all year. He has kept them under the radar. You know, he hasn't built them up. He has just kept them working, kept them going, and you know, it showed out there today. The hunger that was there was unreal. You know.
Okay, we have two Westport players. We'll prioritise them as well because they have to get in Shane Scott. First of all, I'll grab Shane and the team captain Brian McDermott as well too. If you can join us here, lads. Shane, come with the hour, come with the man. You got busy there as that game went on. You had to go into active service there. It was a victory to really dig deep for.
Yeah, it was going to be hard going all the time. We came in at extra time like it was level. We knew that if we got that 1 point ahead, that was it. We were going to win that match, as simple as. The hard training put in all year, like, and especially those young lads that stepped up to the game. Brian O'Malley there, Oisin McLaughlin, this is their first taste intermediate championship all year, like, and to come in at such a All-Ireland semi-final stage and play the way that they did, like, it's a credit to them, and it's just a credit to everyone together. Management, the support out there was unreal, like, it was absolutely class. And it's onwards and upwards now. Croke Park, it's just, it's Croke Park, we'll take that, but it's a match we're going to have to win, as simple as. There's going to be no one's going to remember the losers. It's all about the winners now at this stage.
You made a point there, Shane. I'm going to take up with Brian as well too. Brian, as Shane said, trying to get level. You were all the day trying to get there, squandering some chances, but getting a lot of possession. But you came at the right time. Left it a bit late now, but it came at the right time.
Yeah, I suppose it did come at the right time. I think the first time we went ahead was there in the extra time, I think, throughout the whole game. So, but we missed an awful lot of goal chances, I suppose, that we could have maybe put over for the bar and got ahead that way. But we said it when we went in for extra time and everything. We said all we need to do is get ahead and we'll win the game. And fair play to lads, like we went 2 points down there in extra time, came back, went a point up, and then the security point there at the end. It was just such a relief. All the hard work all year paid off from all the lads.
From here, Shane, it looked an absolutely energy-sapping encounter.
It was tough going now. Like, there's a lot of lads there now. We'll definitely enjoy tonight. And it was like, but probably come now Monday and Tuesday. Like, it's going to be a serious recovery session maybe for the next 2 to 3 days. We'll probably get back maybe training probably more than likely Wednesday, and it'll be all hands on board then for the next. I think it's 3 weeks or something like that. Like, so the hard work starts now. Like, the hard work really does start now.
A lot of hard work gone on already, but 3 great weeks to look forward to now, Brian. I mean, this is, you know, what players dream of at any level.
I know, I've been saying it all week. You know, I've had a few interviews and I've always said, since you're a little fella playing Gaelic football, there's one thing that you want to do, and it's playing Croke Park. And, you know, not only are we playing in Croke Park, but we're playing for an All-Ireland final. So, you know, I prefer to lift the All-Ireland final and play in Croke Park, but that we can do both at the same time, it's great.
Okay, well done, lads. Thank you very much for joining us as well, Brian and Shane, and best of luck in the next few weeks. We have Mickey Ned here as well. I'm not sure we're going to get 1 or 2 more players perhaps, There's talk of Leroy, I think, and with James Gill, of course. I'll bring James in with Mickey Ned here too. James, sorry Mickey Ned for keeping you there. James, I'm sure you lived every second of that.
Yeah, that was tough to watch, so it was. Just it's a great thing. Look, that spectacle out there is what club football is all about. It's a great time for Westport now. As everyone has talked about, the club is kind of on the rise for a long time with underage teams and that coming through. So it's a great experience, and you see it out there how everyone is enjoying it, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and they had to do it the hard way today, which probably makes it all the sweeter.
Yeah, I think I think when you look back at it, they had a lot of there's a lot of mistakes from both teams. A lot of balls into the keeper's hands. We probably had 3 goal chances in the first half. Definitely 2 of them should have been taken. But they took their opportunities. They kind of dug in. I thought at one stage it was gone from them. But they just kept plugging along, and luckily they stuck it out.
Mickey made a point that James makes there. If anybody looked like winning, even though Westport were creating the chances, it was Kenmare who were nudging ahead here and there.
Probably more economical, but Westport had been in a dogfight in every championship this year. Kenmare hadn't, and my worry was that if Westport were within 5 minutes from the end, within striking distance, they would eke it out, and that's what they did. And well, all credit due to them, and I'm sure this game will benefit them big time going forward into the All-Ireland, because that's worth a month's training, what they went through there today.
Disappointing for your own club though, you had hoped to obviously advance them more than Westport did.
A big disappointment was that we couldn't have Stephen O'Brien. I think he would have given the added dimension and the leadership. He had given it all the year. It was a big loss, but that's not taking it from Westport.
Yes, indeed. No, very sporting as always, Mickey Ned. I see Lee Keegan making his way up here as well, the current player of the year. Mickey Ned, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and James as well too. And enjoy, I'm sure, the celebrations will be in Westport tonight. Lewisburg, their neighbours, didn't get there, but Westport did. Glenbeigh, Glencar reached the final of the junior championship. And here's a man who, you know all about that one, Lee.
Gentlemen, what's that?
That full hour and a half of football almost out there.
Oh, jeez, I thought the pre-season was well over, but that's one way to get back into the season anyhow. I don't even have words describing how happy I am right now. You see the scenes and then in front of me here, what it means to the club, and I just can't wait to go to Croke Park with my club and just embrace everything at the moment, because today I think we're a massive underdogs, and we just proved that we're willing to go to the depth of anything just to win a game. And to be honest, I think we're the better team overall. I suppose we had a lot of chance to win the game in a normal time. We had a lot of goal chances, but that's always it's always a great team that can come back. And we were 3 points down last 5 minutes, won a penalty, went 1 or 2 points down next time, still had the composure to come back and win the game. So listen, a lot of work to do, but we'll enjoy the success, because this is just a monumental moment for the club, and it's taken a lot of hard graft this year. But we said at half time that we're a different team, and today we prove we're a bit different than other teams before us.
Yeah, as you've been saying there, more or less, you won it because you stuck at it. I mean, you really had to keep grinding it out all the way through. You were missing chances, getting a lot of possession, but you never ever gave up, and came with a great burst in injury time, in extra time.
And that's I suppose credit to what the lads, the work do, and their, I suppose, their days off. They're always in the gym doing their running, working on. Well, we could be working our skills a bit better, but conditions obviously didn't help either. But Joe, we always trust the process. I know it's probably a boring old word to use, but we always trust ourselves that if the game's in the middle of the pot, and it has been numerous times this year within County and Connacht, that if we're in the game the last 10 minutes, we were willing to go to the depth of anything just to win the game. And Joe, you've seen some of the lads, the fitness level is just insane out there. Where even our subs that came on made a massive difference. And you can see in the extra time, I think they were trying to slow the ball down as much as possible. And anytime we got the ball, we look sharper, we look fresher, we look like we want to do something with it. So, and that just proved today that the team that was willing to go for it was us, and ultimately in the end that we were the team that won it. And you seen the way the last score just summed it up. We went from one end to the other in the space of, I suppose, 30 seconds, and game over. So
special for you, your brother Phil, who of course is probably better known as a Westport United soccer player for a number of years. He's alongside you today. They're playing a very important role.
Yeah, they say he's probably fitter than I am, so I have something to go against the brother. A bit thinner as well, but no, listen, this is what club is all about. You're with your family. You mentioned Phil there. It took a lot of begging to get him in the club play this year, and I suppose he's more renowned for his soccer skills and exploits there, but I couldn't be happier that he's in the squad because he just adds something to what we're trying to do. He sets the tone every game. But again, it's just not Philip. Everyone's willing to put their foot to the wheel, and so it's not a great thing for Mayo that we're out for another few weeks, but just to carry on this journey is special. And you see, as I keep saying, look at the scenes in front of us here in Clare today. I mentioned during the week that this is a happy hunting ground for Mayo teams. unfortunately Louisburg couldn't get over the line today. It came up against a very good Glen Car side, and it's a shame because it would have been a great day to have two West Mayo teams in the Co-Park. But listen, we have to look after ourselves now for the next couple of weeks. Believe me, we'll enjoy tonight. The lads they're ready to rock there. But yeah, this is what club's all about: having your family, your friends, all your relatives, and it's a really proud moment. And I'm a bit emotional because it's taken a lot of hard work to get back to this level. We had a long time since '09 to get back to these levels, and we played more relegation games than anything. So I'm just so excited for the club. We're a young outfit. I suppose we're looking forward the whole time, and this is another stepping stone towards Mayo Senior next year. But again, we've one more massive game in 3 weeks' time, and we'll take nothing for granted.
Okay, Lee, thanks a million. Thank you for joining us. And I see your right-hand man for many years, Kevin Kane, here as well. He was another who was engaged in an epic battle, it has to be said, Kevin. We get you to face up to the camera here. An epic battle.
Oh, absolutely, Liam. Look at the scenes out there. That just shows the support we have. When you come down here today, it's obviously going to be a serious battle, against the quality of Kenmare and them being from Kerry. We knew deep down that if it had to go to the wire, that this team was well able to go to the wire. And Lee probably said it there, we have great heart, we have great belief in ourselves, and no matter how much we're being beaten, we'll keep going. And thankfully we managed to do enough today and get through.
You have young players who are showing great maturity.
Massive, at the start of the year, I suppose, a few of them were involved in county minor squads and bits and pieces like that. And since we all came back, I suppose, after the All Ireland and the minors added back in midsummer, they've just matured immensely. As I said, during the week they've became some of our star senior players, and it showed out there today. They weren't found wanting; they were as fit to give it as much as they got, and they're a massive asset for us going forward.
3 weeks to keep it going now.
Yeah, massive 3 weeks. It's exciting. I don't want this journey to end. It's been a massive night.
It nearly didn't end at all today.
It nearly didn't, exactly. So, the last night, it's been a long way for this game, 9 weeks or so. But we were slogging away in the background, doing our homework and bits and pieces. But the next 3 weeks, we're used to the build-up, I suppose, at county level. It's week by week, and it'll fly.
Okay, Kevin, thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy the celebrations. And I'm sure they'll be short-lived enough, because the job is only half done now for Westport, of course. That's about it here from Cusick Park in Ennis. As I look out over the pitch, the pitch held up remarkably well, it must be said. The Westport fans still out there celebrating, savouring the moment, not least because of the incredible drama at the end of the game that saw them take victory over, again, Kenmare Shamrock side.